waivers and wages of all those who receive are involved in the process of helping those with special needs. My name is Senator John Albers. I'm joined today by the co-chairman of the committee and the bill's author, my friend Senator Sally Harrell, who will speak next. And we're excited to begin a process now that did a lot of study, a lot of homework. We met with stakeholders all over this state. And the goal is to change the trajectory of where we are going to help out all those with special needs. You're going to hear the word sometimes disability used, and I want to be real clear on that. I don't use that terminology. My friends behind me do not have disabilities. We do. If the world was going to see life through the lens of someone with special needs, it would be a much, much better place. For too long, we have not done or embraced the things we've needed to in all levels of government, as well as in our private and business sector to support those who just simply are asking for a hand up. And to do that, we had to look in several areas. How do we get the staffing needed to help out those families? How do we get the service and the dollars delivered to those families and to the people that are serving and supporting them every day? Because anyone who works to help out someone with special needs is a true calling. I promise you, none of them did it for fame nor fortune. Other heroes in the General Assembly that have supported us are standing right behind me, and they're no stranger to many of us. They are State Senator Shelley Echols and Representative Scott Hilton. I want to emphasize the work we are doing has just begun, and we are going to continue now to change the trajectory for how we communicate, how we operate, how we budget, how we serve and support our families and all of the groups that support those families, because together we can make this a better place to live, work, and play for every Georgian, especially those with special needs. So when you see me walk back up those stairs in a minute, I'm going to go pass another bill in committee. But I'm going to turn it over to someone who definitely needs no introduction, who she's spent most of her legislative career, beginning in the House of Representatives and then her promotion to the State Senate, focusing on helping out all those with special needs. Please welcome the co-chairman of our committee, Senator Sally Harrell.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming out today. It's so thrilling to see such a huge crowd for this issue. Almost 25 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in its Olmstead decision that the unjustified segregation of people with disabilities is a form of unlawful discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act. For almost 25 years, Georgia has struggled to build the infrastructure necessary to support those living with disabilities to be able to fully function within their communities. An infrastructure necessary to live a life that supports being able to work, to contribute, to lead, to belong, to be respected, to form friendships, and to be cared for in a safe and loving way. Through the years, there have been many advocates who have fought for this obligation to be fulfilled. I too fought almost 25 years ago as a new member of the Georgia House, and upon returning to the Georgia Senate after leaving politics for 14 years, I learned that there was still a waiting list. A lovely young woman named Dawn Alford caught me up on all the changes that had transpired while I was gone. Dawn is no longer with us, but if she were, she would be smiling with us today. She'd be smiling because she'd see us all standing here together, united in our mission, advocating for both waivers and wages. We are changing the trajectory. No longer can we accept $11 wages for direct service providers, or only 100 now or comp waivers per year when 7,000 remain waiting. Last year, advocates Philip and Evan Woody and I attended endless meetings with budget writers and held 2 press conferences. We quadrupled the number of waivers funded in the 2023 budget, and we put the issue back on the map at the Georgia State Capitol. Then the Senate passed Senate Resolution 770, the Senate Study Committee on People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities and Waiver Plan Access. It was a long title. Senator Albers and I traveled all over the state, listening to stories told by families in anguish and small businesses having to make heart-wrenching decisions to reduce capacity due to high rents and workforce shortages, and being forced to say no to people in need at their front door. Through those hearings, we have put the issue back on the map in Georgia. The study committee documented a system in crisis, a crisis too deep and complex to solve in 1 year. So one of the study committee recommendations was to create an Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Innovation Commission, similar to the successful Behavioral Health Innovation Commission created in 2019. Yesterday, I filed the bill to create the commission, Senate Bill 198. Remember that number. Everybody say it. Senate Bill 198, okay? This morning, the Lieutenant Governor assigned it to the Health and Human Services Senate Committee, so that's going to be the committee we need to work very quickly because crossover day is March 6th, okay? So you know your assignments. The IDD Innovation Commission is to be comprised of 22 members appointed by the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Speaker of the House. It will form at least 5 working committees, including, but not limited to, supportive employment, community and home-based services, planning list and departmental innovation, service delivery workforce, and managed care exploration. We have our work to do to make this all happen, but the trajectory has been set. And when powerful forces unite, that's you, big things happen. I look forward to working with all of you and to continue the work that we have begun. At this point, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our new Commissioner of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, Commissioner and former Representative Kevin Tanner.
Thank you very much. I first want to thank the Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities for hosting this event today and inviting me to share a few words with you. I also want to thank the countless providers, advocates, and family caregivers who are here in attendance today, some of which I know is going to be speaking on this agenda. Since I've been the commissioner now for 2 months, actually today, I've had the privilege and opportunity to speak with many of you that are here today and talk about your issues, your concerns, and your challenges that you face in accessing care here in the state of Georgia. There is no doubt that last year was a big year for the IDD community at the state capitol, made possible by several legislators and the governor. There continues to be consistent investments in the IDD services like the now and comp waivers, which has enabled over 13,000 Georgians living to remain in their homes and communities. And just last year, the General Assembly funded an additional 513 waivers. Although we are grateful for this historic investment in this system, there is more work ahead for us all to do, especially as we continue to try to address the needs of the 7,000 individuals on the planning list. But there are several realities that must come to bear, and the one I'd like to highlight today is the state of our workforce. I have said it before, and I will continue to say it. The state of our workforce is in a state of emergency. Every day, the workforce shortages in our system are limiting the capacity of our provider network. Providers are reducing their footprint because of their inability to recruit and retain quality workers, which forces families to take on more responsibility as they care for their loved ones. As a result of these challenges, we face the heartbreaking reality that Georgians who need this specialized care and support just simply cannot find it. Many of the professionals we need for this work, like direct care professionals who serve our now and comp waiver participants, are some of the lowest paid professionals in our state for their field. For you as the family, this means that just because your loved one has been deemed eligible for a waiver doesn't always mean that you can find a provider. Or for us as a state agency, this means people end up in emergency rooms or in other settings that they just don't belong for weeks at a time, while DBHDD staff work around the clock to locate providers who can support them coming back into their home or into their community. Just yesterday, our staff were working with community hospitals around the state of Georgia to find placement for 21 individuals with disabilities who were stuck in ERs for non-medical reasons. We must address these workforce shortages on a systematic level so Georgians can access the quality health care and community support they are entitled to receive. One of the themes we heard from last year's IDD study committee chaired by Senator Albers and Senator Harrell, which, by the way, I want to thank both of them for all their work over the past year on this issue, was the prospect of a rate study for now and comp providers, which is something our team has been hard at work on. We're coming close to final publication of this study, which is an important step toward addressing the systematic workforce issues. I'm so happy to report that over 500 individuals submitted testimony during the public comment period, which ended on January 20th. And I know many of the people who submitted those comments are here today. I want to thank you for your feedback and let you know it's absolutely critical in informing final recommendations. Although this rate study is an essential next step, we know that solutions to our workforce crisis are multi-pronged and will require the collaboration of all stakeholders, including providers, as we work to relieve ourselves of this state of emergency. This work is a priority to me, and I look forward to working with the governor and members of the General Assembly to implement real solutions. And while we work to find innovative solutions to enhance the pipelines for our future, we must also work to secure short-term solutions to ensure that the vacant positions of today become the filled positions of tomorrow. Because for every vacant direct care professional is a family caregiver who was gifted the hope of a now and comp waiver but cannot find a provider. Because for every underfunded service provider is an individual who cannot find the quality of care that they need and that they deserve. We must make this a priority so that lives of Georgians depend on it. With full gratitude, I'm excited to share this journey with all of you. And as we take the next step together, thank you for your time today, and thank you to the state of Georgia for all that you are going to continue to do in this effort. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Tanner. I would like to recognize that another one of my colleagues in the Senate has shown up, Senator Donzella James. Let's give her a hand. And the next speaker is from Uniting for Change, Marion Jackson.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marion Jackson. I'm from Fitzgerald, Georgia. I'm a state advocate. I've been a state advocate for people with intellectual and development mental disabilities for over 20 years. I'm also the mother of an adult child that has a disability. Well, I want to tell you a little about myself and People First and People United for Change. Back in the 2019, I think it was. I can't remember. But anyway, myself and a small group of people with disabilities, we wanted transportation for our community. And by us working together and becoming one, not only for people with disabilities, but for the regular city people, we started transportation. We got transportation started, and we were very successful with that. We went on to also, myself, as an advocate, I went across the state of Georgia, closing down institutions. Me and many others, we marched in places. We drove cars across the state of Georgia to close down these institutions, the nursing homes and institutions where people were locked away and didn't have no lives. But thank God today they have happy lives because they're living in their own homes. Also, but what we really want today is we're working for people with disabilities. We want better services. We want better pay for everyone, not just certain people, but for everyone. And we really need our DSPs. They really work hard for people with disabilities each and every day. And usually some are here with people that works with them. You know, my friend Kelly, her mother, she works with her every day. And you know, we're striving to help them to succeed. So with everyone's help, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. And with United for Change, we will do it. We will go through whatever measures we have to. We will do that today. I'm just going through it short, making it short because I'm getting nervous. So y'all bear with me. But we're gonna be successful in it. So help us to keep our heads up and not down, because we want to look towards the goal. As people with disabilities, don't say we can't do it, because we can. If we put our minds to it, we can. We are human beings, and we can be successful. Thanks. That's not. Thank you.
Next, we have the Service Providers Association for Developmental Disabilities, otherwise known as SPAD. The incoming chair, Ryan Whitmire, who will speak from the provider perspective.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. So my name is Ryan Whitmire. I am the president-elect of SPAD, and I'm also the CEO of Developmental Disability Ministries. I just want to thank on behalf of SPAD all the work and the leadership that Senator Harrell and Senator Albers has done. We would not be on the map without you. And so we're on the map, and we are excited about where we're at, and we're looking forward to where this is going. We are so appreciative of the Senate Study Committee's report to the legislature. We believe their efforts have led to strong, solid recommendations that are going to be able to address the crisis that we are all facing, which is primarily around waivers and wages. We are grateful for the rate study and the Commissioner Tanner's support in regards to increasing the budget by $91 million to fund the proposed draft rate models. In the proposal, yes. In the proposed rate models, the direct support wage is set at $15.18. This is a start to move direct support staff's wages to an adequate rate, and it's better than nothing. But it's really not sufficient. Many SPAD providers have been trying to recruit and retain staff at $15 an hour for the last 2 years without success. Some providers have even tried $16 and $17 an hour in certain locations with no avail. We know $15 an hour is not going to be enough to achieve our mutual goals of assuring a health and safe place for people with disabilities to be supported in their own community and have a skilled workforce. We also do not believe that it's going to be enough to wrap up the DOJ settlement. So thus, we are asking the department and the legislators to increase direct support wage rate to the 75th percentile in the rate study, which is $18.86. Be mindful, the commissioner's own presentation to Representative Dempsey's committee this week reported that Georgia's own DOAS market rate for non-clinical direct care has an annual salary of $40,040, which is $19.25. We are all trying to hire and retain the same workforce, and a $4.25 gap is not going to achieve our mutual goals. It's time to really start valuing DSPs, not just with our voices, but with our money. SPAD also wants to stress that we support in the proposed rate studies the incentivization of community-based services, but not be financed by another group of people receiving a different type of service. And so our message is to do no harm. SPAD also fully supports the addition of 2,400 new waivers. This is a long overdue investment for a group of Georgians that have often been ignored, which has led to an extremely underfunded infrastructure that is currently failing to meet the needs of the IDD community. Wages and waivers are linked. With an increase to a real-time adequate wage of $18.86, it will help providers be able to recruit and retain the staff needed to support current services, as well as support the people desperately needing services on the waiting list in Georgia. 7,000 people on a waiting list is too much. So we need help as the provider community to invest in our capacity to be able to serve the people that need services. We are so thankful again to you Senator Harrell, Senator Albers, and everything that you are doing to get this on the map. Thank you for allowing SPAD to share our appreciation. It's an exciting time, and we have so much to celebrate for where we're at, and we really need to focus on having a meaningful impact that's actually going to stop just us talking about it, but resolving the problem. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. We have one more speaker. I know you've been standing a long time. You're doing a great job. One more speaker, and that is from the Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities, or GCDD, Vice Chair Lisa Newburn, who will be speaking from the family caregiver perspective. Lisa.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Newburn, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities. Thank you for being here today to learn more about the need in our state for more Medicaid waivers and increased wages to better support Georgians who have intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. I am here on behalf of my son Griffin, who is 15 and has Down syndrome. Griffin is in 8th grade. He is full of energy, curiosity, empathy, and love. He enjoys swimming, playing basketball, and swinging in our backyard, and he would eat nachos every night if I would let him. His favorite person is his big sister, Marissa, and his request for spring break is to go to a hotel with a pool and a palm tree. I would do anything for Griffin, including speaking publicly today about the private struggles of raising and caring for a loved one who has a developmental disability. My husband and I have always focused on what. What can we do for Griffin to help him enjoy a meaningful life that includes him living, playing, learning, worshiping, and in the not too distant future, working in our community. He already has his sights set on working in the movie theater near our home. And not only do I want this for him too, I see no reason why this can't be a reality. But the pursuit of current and future opportunities is complicated when special needs are involved and comes with emotional and mental distress. There's little time to rest and lots of time filled with restlessness because there is always more to be done to help those who have intellectual and developmental disabilities achieve their potential and their dreams. For Griffin, our current focus is his public education, which unfortunately has him isolated in a self-contained classroom, and his health, for which we have relied on the Katie Beckett Medicaid deeming waiver since he was 3 years old because my employer's insurance doesn't meet his needs. Rather than simply looking forward to Griffin's 18th birthday less than 3 years from now, my mind already fills with fearful thoughts about Griffin losing his deeming Medicaid waiver. I simply don't know what we will do, but I might remind myself that love is stronger than fear, and I know I must continue to face each new day with courage and hope. Why? Because more than 7,000 people in Georgia are on the waiting list for NOW and comp waivers. Yet we have only been able to get a few hundred off that waiting list each year. At such a slow rate, it could be more than 20 years before Griffin is eligible for the waiver. I don't know any family that has that much time to wait for life-saving care, which is why we must end the waiting list now. I ask you to join with me in working with Senators Harrell and Albers, the Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities, the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, and all others who are committed to making life better for those who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. Investing in health via more NOW and comp waivers is also an investment in quality of life, employment, inclusive communities, and ultimately the strength of Georgia and Georgians. I will continue to turn my restlessness into action to achieve an end to the waiting lists and look forward to the day when Griffin and I will see you at the movies. Thank you.
I'd like to recognize one more senator who has joined us, my colleague, Senator Rahman.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'm proud to stand with my colleagues and do anything and everything we can do within our power to help you all. That's all I can say. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, at this point, we'd like to be able to take some questions from the press. If you were a speaker and are comfortable addressing questions and you have some expertise that maybe I don't have, please come up here and join me. Anybody also who's a spokesperson for an organization, I can't take all these questions by myself, so please step up. Questions?
You can hear me. I have a question about the DSP wages and the rate study, kind of where it's proposing to go. And today, when you've been advocating, what has been your focus? Is it starting there, or is it moving beyond the 15-18?
Okay, so the question is about the rate study and the proposed wages. Ryan, would you like to address that?
So our current ask is to get it to a market value rate now, because we know $15 an hour is not going to be successful in actually building the infrastructure to support what we currently have, as well as to actually meet the needs of waiting lists, the people on the waiting list. Every organization has an incredible amount of overtime right now. I have one staff person that averages 80 hours a week. Her husband called me, right? And he's a great person, but he's asking, hey, what can you do about this? And I'm telling him, we're recruiting every day. And then it's really gonna take legislation and people to speak up to get it where it needs to be.
Is that shared? I know that's a provider perspective. Is that shared by the rest of the advocacy community?
Is his stance shared by the rest of the 1886, right?
1886. So, great question. Yes, GCDD, we are supportive of 1886 an hour as wages for direct support professionals. 1518 is an improvement, yes, but 1518 is still too low. I believe that equates to about $31,000 a year. We don't, right now with 1063, we're not even in the barrel. Like, you know that expression, bottom of the barrel? We are below the barrel. People cannot work for $10.63 an hour. It's not life-sustaining. 1518, yes, it's a step. Yes, that would be positive, but really for the long term, to have a professional workforce, we are absolutely supportive of 1886.
Beyond the commission legislation, is there any law that you hope might pass this year, or are you going to wait for the commission?
We're focusing on the budget process this year and Senate Bill 198, and that's it for this year.
Why do you think has this community perhaps been left a little bit behind? Thinking of the commission, for example, is that what it feels like? And what have been some of the challenges in making progress over the years? Did you hear the question? I was gone, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. So I think the question was, why has the community been left behind? So I mean, historically, and this is something we've really been trying to emphasize at GCDD this year, Georgia has a record of making low investments in people with disabilities and their families. And we have that. I can supply you all with the information. But if you look at the per capita for every $1,000 investment, the national average, I believe, is $4.60 an hour. In Georgia, and again, I'm going to send this to y'all so I get it right. In Georgia, it's about 60% of that, $2.82 an hour. And we're one of the lowest states in the nation when it comes to what we're investing in our population with developmental disabilities. You know, the full historical reasons of that, honestly, I think there have probably been books written on it. For whatever reason, I just don't feel like we have fully grasped the needs of this community and also the potential of this community. And that's why we're really advocating that waivers and wages is not just a human services issue, it is an economic issue. Because when people do not have waivers or adequate wages, they are left out of the state's economy. So this is about investing in Georgians.
Anything else? Any update on the 2,400? I know we're at 500 in the proposed budget. Any update on any progress?
I think we're at 250 in the proposed budget. The governor put in 250.
500?
250. The governor put in 250. So we're still working the budget process.
Okay, sorry. Any update on? I'm sorry. Any update on increasing that for the FY24?
Not yet, but we're working it. Anything else? Yeah, please.
I'm not official, but I have an opinion. The question was why the attention now, and I think the way you phrased it was why behavioral health in the past and why have we been left behind. I can't answer that question, but I can say that the reason that this is happening now is because the IDD community, families, providers, our legislators, GCDD, everybody has come together with the same message to say it's time to end the waiting list, it's time to pay DSPs what they need, and everybody's singing the same song and we're getting the attention that we finally need. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. I have a little thing to share with you. It was a Christmas gift from one of the advocates, and this is what it's going to take as we go forward.